It's time for No Pads Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Well, welcome to a Christmas Eve victory show for the Detroit Lions after they were able to clinch the division. That was really nice for us to see.
Really nice is not even. I cried. Now, look, I did. I had tears in my eyes right at the end of that game, and emotional for a bunch of reasons, right? One, it's been 30 years, right? And, you know, at the time I'm thinking, okay, where was I 30 years ago today? I was coming off an airplane from boot camp, flying home for Christmas, right? I think it was actually the 20th or 21st, but I'm just now getting, you know, I just finished my boot camp training and I'm home for the holidays. But, you know, our dad and our grandfather were big Lions fans, obviously Lions fans for a very long time. And, you know, it was one of those moments where I wanted to turn around and start high-fiving them, you know, but I know they're not here, right? So, bit of up and down emotions for me today. Obviously super excited for the Lions, very excited for Lions fans. And currently, as the standings currently are, the Lions are the 2 seed. Right? Now, we know there are 3. That's right.
But,
you know, there are 3 games tomorrow, you know, on Christmas Day. And, you know, the Eagles are one of those games that, you know, if they win, obviously, you know, we slide back to the 3, which it makes no never mind to me. What matters is that there's going to be a home playoff game at Ford Field for the first time ever.
yes.
Ever.
Yes.
A home playoff game in Detroit. So,
you know, that's exciting, honestly. That's great. I love that. That's but see, we talked about this before, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here for a second, right? I have to.
Yeah.
I have to say this, right? Like, NFC North winners, champions is, as I mentioned a couple shows ago, was kind of like the kind of expected at this point, right? So I'm just saying, I'm happy we got it. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
like I'm not satisfied. Right?
No,
like,
absolutely.
I want to celebrate tonight. You know, we got, of course, Christmas tomorrow, but I want to celebrate tonight. But we got a short week, and we got to take on Dallas. But ultimately, we got to win a playoff game. That's what I want to see to say we had an extremely successful season. That's it at this point. We have to win a playoff game. That's my bar for saying it was a good season.
You know, and that's okay, right? I mean, we started 5-1. You know, we were 8-2 at one point. You know, lost a couple of games. You know, made it to the 10 wins, double-digit wins, right?
Yeah,
that's already a huge accomplishment, right? Yeah. Our offense is clicking. There have been moments like even today where play calling, clock management sucked, just flat out sucked.
Agreed.
And so at this point, but we are trending in the right direction, right? Detroit has played some close games this year. Some shootouts, and they've come out on top which is already something different for Lions and Lions fans, right? We usually come out on the losing end of those. So, super excited that we're not having to wait till week 17 to clinch the division. Right?
Yeah.
Because then trying to make week 17 a must-win scenario, right? Because I don't know what's going to happen next week with Dallas. I would say Dallas is probably at least a 3.5-point favorite, even though they're on they haven't been playing very well. They're 2-game skid right now.
Right.
But we're going to be playing them in Dallas, so I'm going to give them the 3.5 points right now, just for being at home. But so that's going to be a tough game. But again, Detroit has been in some tough games, and we've been able to come out on top. So, but that's next week's. That's next week's show, of course. Yeah.
But what's nice about what we're watching, what we're seeing right now, is very simple in my eyes. And you said it, but I just want to kind of say it a different way.
Okay.
All right. Is that Lions for years, it was like Lions have to find a way to win. And honestly, right, like we don't, as Lions fans, we don't care how that win looks. We just want them to win, right? So they're finding a way to win. It's sloppy all over the place. There's you touched on it as far as clock management, some play calling issues, things like that. But they found a way to win. Because ultimately, that's all that matters when it comes to the NFL is how many what the number is.
Wins and losses.
That's it.
That's right. Wins and losses.
Right? So they found a way, and they've been finding a way all year. It's ugly sometimes, but they come out with a W. And just and exactly what you said, previous years, that would not have happened.
Right.
So and honestly, you have to credit Dan Campbell and his coaching staff for instilling that, because when you had a losing culture that's been around Detroit for as long as what it has been, that is tough to get rid of. I mean, it's like trying to get rid of like a skunk stink all over your body, right? Like it's hard to get rid of. And Dan Campbell, he was able to do it, and now his guys just you can tell the Detroit Lions go into every game expecting to win.
Yes. Yep. You talked about some sloppy play. What do we have? 8 penalties today. Trying to find that number here. Yeah.
The thing that really irritated me the most was inopportune penalties that takes away points, and then and mental mistakes. I cannot stand mental mistakes. And you had 3 delay of games, and it would have been a 4th had the timeout not been called.
Correct.
Like the delay of games, and I understand what they were saying, as far as the subbing was taking forever. Look, you got to fix that. I don't. To me, okay, you identified the problem.
You are professionals. You are professionals. This is week 16.
Yeah.
Right. If you can't substitute your players by now, find somebody who can.
That was awful, man. I'm sorry. Like there's no excuse for that.
Like there are times where I'm like, I want them to run to the line and just start snapping the ball and running some tempo, and they can't because they can't figure out their substitute. Whatever.
I don't like it.
It was very frustrating today. Watching that. So 9 penalties is what we had, 9, but there was a total of 17 in the game.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was just us. The Vikings didn't play a clean game either, obviously with 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
Which should have been 5, because Branch should have had one right at the beginning of the game.
It's like he threw
and it hit him right in the breadbasket. Yeah.
going back to what about like the whole penalty situation. I can't. It's unforgivable for me, that it was kind of balanced out a lot. But if you think about one of the penalties that occurred against the Vikings, it was like 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 20, something like that, and it was a roughing the passer call, and ended up getting like a first down off of it. Like, I don't think that was roughing the passer at all, and again that bailed out the Lions, so
bailed us out. Yep.
Oh yeah, that was a huge help. Like,
yeah, because at that point we were already. Because not only did we get a penalty that set us back, right? Then we got it was like a false start that moved us another 5 yards back. So it was like 3rd and 25 or something. It was something ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And we only got like 10 yards on that play and the roughing the passer. Right? Because you're right. When I saw again on the replay, in slow motion, it looks differently too, right? So we got to see it more at a different, where he was kind of coming at it, but Goff took a flop. Goff took a flop. That's
exactly what it was. That's what I was going to say. Because if you look at where the referee was positioned, his position kind of behind Goff. Goff had his back. Goff's back was facing the referee, and when the guy came at Goff, Goff totally flopped. Totally. So Goff sold that penalty, but it was not a penalty.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
It reminds me of the punters, like when they do the flopping.
Yeah. Yeah. You got their leg in the air, they try to leave it up there as high as they can, and then they do the flip, they fall down.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But so again, we had penalties that didn't go our way, penalties that went our way. Offensively, we handled the ball. I mean, we had the ball 38 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? So we had great ball control. We stayed balanced. We ran 77 plays.
That's a lot of plays.
Right? That is a lot of plays in a game. 77 plays in offense. Now, I think 60 to 65 is kind of the norm, right? But 77 plays. I mean, Minnesota only ran 51. Mm-hmm. And they actually outgained us by 1 yard total. They had 390 yards of offense, where we had 389.
Yeah. Well,
so,
Jameer Gibbs again. He averaged 5.3 yards a carry, right?
Yeah.
He was on fire. He ran the ball 15 times, got 2 touchdowns. So overall, he had 100 yards from scrimmage again, between receiving and rushing yardage.
Correct.
So Jameer Gibbs had a great game. Sam Laporte, unfortunately, was kind of shut out from his normal stuff, only 3 for 18. But Jamo, right, 5 for 43. That's the most catches he's had. I think in his career for one game.
Yeah, but he made some tough catches.
And some good yak afterwards too. Like,
yes. Now, and that first one where he fumbled, I don't know if you saw what he did, right? I don't know if you noticed it, but when he went down and that ball was on the ground, did you see him? He swatted it out of bounds.
Back out of bounds. Yeah.
He swatted it out of bounds. Like, total, that's a high IQ play. I know people say that all the time, right? But that absolutely was, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and jump on it or get it, right? Have my arm reach out there and maybe something happen on my shoulder. He swatted it back out of bounds. And, we lived to play another game, right? Gibbs had a fumble, right?
Yeah.
And, so that one hurt because we were moving the ball again, right? And Gibbs is really secure.
Before he fumbled, though, like that was a heck of a move in the backfield.
He made the guy. He got handed the ball, and the guy was standing in front of him, and he left him. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to go to my right." No, I'm not. I'm going to my left. right? Like, he juked him out of his shoes in the backfield right after he got the ball and then ran up the field, right? And he wasn't holding that ball loose. It looked like he still had it pretty tight to his body. The guy just made a great play hitting right on the helmet at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was a great defensive play by I was Bynum, I think it was.
I think you're right.
But bottom line was, Gibbs had a great game. We talked about it. You and I talked about it during the game that Gibbs does something different for our offense.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, at the end of the game, when we were trying to kill the clock, right, on that drive, Montgomery was averaging 4 yards a carry-ish on those four carries or whatever he had moving the ball, right? Yep. And I hated, just like the announcers said, I hated that they went and they tried to do something cute, right? We're trying to run the clock, right? Vikings were taking their timeouts, and there was still 4 minutes left in the game, and we had an opportunity to run this thing completely out, right?
Right.
And we got cute. Mm-hmm. Our offensive line had worn down their defensive line. We were getting good push. We should have just kept doing what we were doing, right? Yes. And at that point, I understood why Montgomery was there, the ball security, but Gibbs is a tough runner, but Montgomery, I think, is the guy that they have for that reason, right? Those tough runs right up the middle. It just, I hate it that they got away from that and that we had to punt the ball back to the Vikings and then rely on our defense, our defensive secondary is very porous, right? But your guy, Vitor, whatever, what's his name? I know I'm getting it wrong, but anyway, he had a big game.
So of course
Vildor.
We picked our
Vildor.
Vildor. We pick our who you expect to have big games on offense and defense, and mine was Vildor. Yeah, I thought that. Yep. Look, I knew there was going to be a lot of passing in this game from the Vikings because I didn't think they could run. And if you look at how many yards rushing the Vikings actually had, they only had 17 yards or something. Let's see, they had 17 yards rushing. So, everything was going to come through the air. Kind of expected that. So I thought Vildor was going to be able to come up big, and he had some big plays. You got to give Vildor credit because he wasn't on the team the entire season. He was a late ad, but he played well. I was very happy with the way he played. Now, I wouldn't say he played well enough as far as for defensive player of the game.
No, I was going to say,
in my opinion.
Well, okay, so yes, but Branch had a fantastic game too.
Well, so did Curtis Joseph. He had 2 picks.
Yep. So Branch had the 1 interception.
Yeah.
He had a sack. He had 6 total tackles. Yeah. Right? Kirby Joseph had 9 total tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 passes defended. Branch had 2 passes defended. Malafov, he was all over the place. 5 total tackles, 2 sacks, an interception, 2 passes defended. And
the interception is the one that sealed the win.
Sealed the game. Yep.
I'm loving Iffy right now. That's all I'm saying. I'm loving Melifonwu.
He's doing a fantastic job the last 3 weeks. He is just sort of all of a sudden he's seeing the field much better, right? He's reading the offense. He understands where our defenders are. He's in the right places. But him coming off on the blitz, man, he hits the quarterback hard.
Oh man, he does too. Yeah. And but see, this is something that we were talking about in one of our previous shows as far as
Mhm.
the defensive coordinator disguising some blitzes and putting extra rushers in there, whether they're the cornerback, safety, even some
Yep.
linebacker blitzes, right? Like trying to disguise stuff and get extra people in there.
Yeah.
And it's been iffy a lot. I mean, dude, he had 2 sacks as a
Yeah.
safety. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, no, I'm not
Yep.
comparing him. I'm just saying that the stat wise, that kind of reminds me of Trey Palomalu, right? As far as being able to get like the tackles, the sacks, the interception, he's kind of doing it all. You know,
Oh, yeah.
like, yeah.
Yep. Aiden Hutchinson was getting some good pressure.
Yes,
I don't know if you noticed, like, he got that batted ball when he moved inside. He was kind of, I don't know if he started on the end and he swung around from the tackle, or if he actually was at the tackle position at the time. We got his hand up and blocked that pass that was going to be a first down. Like, so I know he didn't get no sacks. He didn't get tackles.
No.
But it's those pressures. Those pressures do matter, right? And it just doesn't.
Do.
Yeah, they don't show up on the stat sheet, right? But what he's doing for our defense is really allowing for things like Malifamu to come in and get that sack, because they're doubling up on Hutchinson, and that's leaving the gap, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What he's doing,
tackles too.
Yes. So it is pretty exciting what we saw on the defensive front. See, well, Jack Campbell had an ant game. Rodriguez, he had an okay game too, but Kirby Joseph had to actually leave the game, right?
For a little while for concussion protocol. He came back, but yeah.
Yep. He did come back.
And then now in a show we did for the pregame, we talked about Detroit having problems with backup quarterbacks. And we keep talking about the whole Matt Flynn game. And here this guy did, 411, 2 touchdowns. I know he had 4 picks as well, but he still threw for 411 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And Justin Jefferson just killed us. That dude was a maniac today.
Well,
and I think
in 6 games, like
if Addison didn't go out.
Yeah. So he averages over 120 yards a game when he plays against the Lions.
Yeah.
Right? So him having and it's funny, during the pregame, we were talking about Addison, right? And didn't even bring up Justin Jefferson.
No, we didn't.
Right? And he's a lion killer.
Yeah.
Well,
he's one of the
Hawkinson
best in the whole NFL when he plays.
Yeah. I mean, Hawkinson went down. Addison went down. And you don't know, they're both getting MRI. So those guys could be out the rest of the season when we play them again in 2 weeks. Right?
Yeah.
So that could be, that's big for their offense. But we shut down the run game. And I think we talked about that in the pregame. Like, we weren't really worried about the run game. It was definitely going to be passing the ball. And that's exactly what we saw. I mean,
I didn't really think that Vikings were going to score that many points either. Like, I kind of, see, if you really think about it, right, there was 14 points that, you kind of look back on, it's like they probably shouldn't have got those 14 points.
Right.
Because one,
the branch
should have had
the branch. Yep. So that wouldn't have been a touchdown. So there's 7 points. There's 7 points for sure that would have come off the board.
Yeah, and there was something else I was thinking too. I have to remind myself which one it was. But there was another one I was thinking too that it should. Oh, the clock management one. Oh my god, I hated that. As soon as I don't know why Campbell did this, but as soon as he called a timeout towards the end of the first half, I'm like, why? Why are you calling timeout? You want to go into the half up by 10. Why are you giving them a chance? Why? Like, Vikings didn't call a timeout. To me, it seemed like Vikings just was going to be like, okay, right? They were just going to take it,
get what they could get. Yeah.
And But then you call timeout, and here they come, and they ultimately score a touchdown off of that. And I just don't feel I don't know, and I could be wrong. Obviously, you have no idea what's going to happen. But I just felt that the Vikings in that position were not trying to go for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Until the Lions call a timeout and they stop the clock for the Vikings. And then they're just like, yeah, okay, now we're going to go for it. Like,
yeah.
So that was the other one I was thinking of. And that blew my mind. Don't get greedy, right? Don't get greedy.
Well, yeah.
That was dumb.
Because not only that, they scored when right then, we got the ball. They got the ball to start the second half, and I think they scored on their first drive, right? Isn't that when they went up?
Yeah, I believe that was the case. But man, you can't be doing that, dude.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They scored the touchdown with 37 seconds left in the second quarter. Came out with their first drive in the third quarter and scored another touchdown. And they scored that one quick. They only took 3 minutes off the clock, right? Yeah. Like they came out just bam, 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 bam.
Yep. Yeah, Lions weren't ready.
No.
All right. I got to pause the show here for a second. I got something special going on. And
it's time for another ludicrous list on No Pad Sports Talk.
That's right. We got one. We got one.
It's a ludicrous list. It's been a minute. So
it has been a minute.
I'm a little rusty.
And so, brother, I need you. We talked about it at the beginning of the show, right? You said, where were you at 30 years ago? And you were talking about, coming back from boot camp, spending time, the holidays, getting back. Okay. I needed you to put your 30-year-old brain, 30 years ago brain in your head. All right?
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you now, it's going to be a lot harder than what it sounds for everybody out there. For those that's never listened to a ludicrous list before, you got 60 seconds to answer as many as you can. And in this case, there's more than 50 answers. So I don't expect you to get them all, but I just want to see how many you can get. All right?
All right.
In 60 seconds. So my brother has no idea what this list is. It's going to be revealed to him for the very first time when I tell him. And then we're going to go ahead and put a timer on for 60 seconds. I got to get my phone here so I can get the timer ready. Because, let's see. And timer. We don't want a minute 30. I got to change it here. Okay. So now
I'll take a minute 30.
I can probably give you a minute 30.
I'll take an hour and 30 minutes. I mean, she's 50. All right.
So, last time Lions won the division was technically 29 years ago. We'll call it 30. All right. So, with that being said, I want you to give me as many players' names on that roster from 29 years ago as you possibly can.
Okay.
All right. So, I know it's going to be rough, but you got 60 seconds, and we'll go as soon as the this gets done playing. All right?
All right.
Ludicrous speed! Go!
So Barry Sanders was there, but I know he didn't play because he was hurt when they won that one. Herman Moore was on that team. Kramer, the quarterback. Was he on the team in 1993?
Yes, yeah.
Mike Utley.
You got 30 seconds. When he got hurt. No.
Wayne Fonts was the coach. Does that count?
I'll give it to you.
No,
12 seconds.
I just gave you three. Spielman.
Yes.
And that's all I got.
Kick returner.
Melfar.
Oh, that's it.
That goes much further back.
Yeah, that's much further back. Look, I all right. look, that was okay. That was okay. Like I said, that was.
I mean,
it sounds a lot tougher. So, what I was hoping you might think back to, right? Kick returner was Mel Gray. So
Mel Gray, not Mel.
Right? Mel Gray.
I got the Mel part. Yep.
Yeah. Now, the offensive line, because you went with Mike Utley, but we had 2 Pro Bowl offensive linemen, Kevin Glover and Lomas Brown.
Oh, Lomas Brown, he does this play-by-play.
He does play-by-play. I thought you might get him. And then we had 2 of the best special teamers, along with Mel Gray, in the history of the Lions, and Jim Arnold, right? And Jason Hansen.
Jason Hansen.
Yeah. And then...
Yeah. These are, like, if anyone out there, like, you're sitting there, it's easy, right? Like, you're thinking about, you're like, oh, when that clock is ticking and you're the guy that has to get these answers,
right?
It is not easy. Like, it's like, your brain has to, like, it starts to smoke. Like, I got smoke rolling out my ear now as you're trying to process 30 years of names on the,
Now, a couple big... Now, I'll just say just a couple of the other big names I want to go through on this one. To kind of does, like, take us back, that far. Big names is Benny Blades. Willie Clay, Ray Crockett, Gibson, Willie Green. He was part of that nice offense for passing. He did some good stuff there in the passing game. George Jameson, I remember him as a linebacker. You did say Eric Kramer. You said Herman Moore, but I remember Rodney Peete.
Gee. Was he on the team in 1993?
Yeah. He was on the team in 93. And so was Andre Ware.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Guy out of Houston.
The huge compliment to Herman Moore is Brett Perryman. And then, defensive line, Robert Porcher, Kelvin Pritchett. You said Spielman, Pat Swilling, the big trade they made for Pat Swilling.
You're saying the names now, and I'm like, yeah, I can just shake my head. Yep. Uh-huh.
Well, I was like going through like some of the bigger names from the starters because, like, take us back for all those, for all you youngsters out there, like, really, those are the guys we grew up with, right?
Yeah. Because look, I think there's only 6 players that are on the current Lions team that was actually alive when the Lions won the division last.
Well, one's
and
gotta be back.
Jared Goff, Jared Goff was one of them.
No, I thought he was born a year after. I thought he was born in.
Oh no, he was born in '94. That is correct.
Yeah.
It was the year after. So yeah, it's not. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what it was like back then because there's nobody left.
No.
Right? The Ford family, they know. But
that's our ludicrous list. It was fun.
Yeah.
Love to get somebody else. One of these days we fun to have like a listener do a ludicrous list. Just have them call.
That would be awesome.
Ludicrous list. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just do a like beat Steve time.
Beat Steve.
Right.
Yeah.
This is how many I can, or you go head to head on answering questions.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Oh, we got to think of a way to do something like that. But anyways, all right.
Yeah.
But all right. So ultimately, Lions won. So it was a great game over. It was a great game because we won.
Great game because we won.
But
sloppy game because there's too many mistakes.
Yes.
Too many mistakes. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. Missed opportunities.
Yes.
So like this game should have been out of hand. Gotten carried away early.
I believe it should have been.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I think the Jahmyr Gibbs fumble was huge for us. It was huge for Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. It's the missed interception that we had that takes points off the board.
Yeah.
I mean, this could have been the blowout that we were talking about, right? 38-10, the 33-9, right? It could have been that.
Yeah.
But
I'd even go as far as saying it should have been. But, again, like you said, missed opportunities and too many mistakes. Like you're not gonna blow out a team when you do that. And again, I know Mullins had 4 interceptions. We kind of talked before we went live here, but I believe 2 of them were not really game changers. It was equivalent.
Yep.
It was like 2 of them was like 3rd and long, and he chucked it up there, and it was picked off. Like that's about the equivalent of punting it on 4th down. I'm glad we got the interception. I'm not taking nothing away from that. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, if it was an incomplete pass, they punted, we'd basically be in the same position as what we were in after those picks. So they weren't really like huge game changers. Like the Brian Branch interception would have been that he dropped, or the iffy interception to close out the game at the end. Like those are big, possibilities for big, momentum shifts. But the other 2, I don't know. I just don't really see it as a huge backbreaker.
Yeah, and while I understand where you're coming from, I still see them because the Vikings offense was about big plays today. And whether it was catch and run or whatever, those interceptions, had we not been in that position, turned into first downs, not incomplete passes, right? Those are drive movers that the Vikings didn't continue to have. So while I understand what you're saying, I don't totally agree. Yes, it is like a punt, right? Specifically when they're going for it on 4th down, right? And then they throw that, it's an interception. That doesn't matter, right? It's an interception or a punt and in the same place. So I get it, but to me, they were momentum stoppers for the Vikings, whether they were punts or incomplete. What I'm saying?
No, I do. I'm not trying to take it away. I'm just simply saying from the Vikings standpoint, if I was a Vikings fan or a Vikings player, like it's not like again that what would have been the Brian Branch interception at the beginning of the game. It's not like a backbreaker where it's like, man, we had points on the board and then Branch comes out of nowhere and just like takes the interception away, right? Like,
right.
I mean, I'd walk to the sideline like, well, we would have punted anyways. Like, whatever, he took a shot because we would have punted. Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I just don't think it was like a huge momentum changer in the game for the Lions.
I will say this, and you already mentioned it, is that the biggest, I think, momentum shift for us was the timeout that we took at the end of the second half, or the end of the first half.
Yeah.
Where they turned around and scored that touchdown, and then came out and scored a touchdown, right? That was huge. That was a huge, like as far as play. And that's on Campbell. I agree. Like, we're up 10 points. We don't need to get the ball back and try and go up more.
No.
Right? Our offense is clicking. We're running the ball. We got ball control. 38 minutes. Right? We almost had the ball 2/3 of the game. So I think we're doing okay.
That was like I haven't watched the entire press conference after the game yet. I was in the middle of it when we decided to do a show, so I didn't get a chance to watch it all. But I'm hoping he addresses that, or someone asks him a question about that, because like I'm wondering if there was like a reasoning behind it, because to me it just seemed like he was thinking, we're gonna get the ball back and we're gonna try to score again. Like that's what it seemed like the purpose of it was. And I wasn't feeling that comfortable in our defense at the time that that stop was gonna happen. It's just like, let's just go into the locker room up by 10. No. Let's just do that. But
I mean, the Vikings were 3 of 9, I think, on third down.
For third down?
Yeah, on third down. They were 3 of 9, I think, on third down. Yep, 3 of 9. We were 6 of 12. Right?
All right.
So, but the Vikings just, I wish they had it on here. Like number of plays that were greater than so many yards. And I'd love to find that because they were killing us. I mean, whether it was all throw or run after the catch, Mullins it's 20 yards a throw, almost 20 yards of completion.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was big play after big play when it came to the passing game. We've got to clean that up. We've been saying it all year, but 20 yards of play, oh my God. It doesn't matter if you can stop the run.
No, not in that situation.
Doesn't matter if you can stop the run, right?
No.
So, we've got Dallas coming up this week. We got to go to Dallas to do it. Dallas is struggling the last couple of weeks here. So they're going to be super hungry at home, especially if the Eagles win tomorrow, right? Because they're going to try and get back in that fight to try and win their division. So it's going to, that's going to be a dogfight next week.
On Saturday, just an FYI for everybody out there, it's going to be Saturday. I don't want, it's going to be a different, so.
And I'm going to be out at my brother's for our pregame and postgame this week. So,
get an opportunity to 8:15 Saturday night.
Yeah. Oh, it's a night game too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only game on that entire day.
That is another thing that Lions fans are not used to. Primetime games.
This will be the fifth one this year?
Yeah.
But man.
Yep.
But so last words before we close it out.
Last words are just congratulations to that team, that coaching staff, the GM, the owners for having faith and bringing in the right people to finally change the culture here in Detroit. And I get it; this is 1 year. If you really want to talk about changing a culture, this has to be a continuing growth, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But our team is super young, and I foresee the possibility for us to have more success in the future.
Me too.
But congratulations, fans. Congratulations, Lions. We can relax a little, knowing that we're going to have a home playoff game.
I'll just echo that. Say congratulations to the players. The players, look, you guys deserve it. You guys played hard. You balled out. Congratulations to the coaches, scouting staff, just everybody there on in the Lions organization. You all play a part. So thank you and congratulations. And for all the fans out there as well, again, have fun, enjoy the win. And I know it's right now for us, it's like 10:35 at night on Christmas Eve. So I also just want to say everybody out there, have a very Merry Christmas.
Yes.
And we'll come back at you with the show sometime after Christmas to preview the Saturday game.
Yep. Safe travels for all those that are traveling.
All right. Talk to you guys next time.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to No Pads Sports Talk. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at No Pads Sports Talk.